Welcome to the reading of Turning 25 on my 52nd birthday. This is a story of my life right after my divorce as I grew into a new woman. Please comment any questions on the video below. I'll get back to them as soon as I can. And thank you so much. Please like and subscribe also. Thanks. Second part of chapter 23. She was getting in better shape, and this was helping her self-esteem. She had already gone from a size 14 to a size 8. She looked great, still had curves. She was growing her hair out. She was all in all getting where she wanted. So now, not only did she felt good, but her intelligence and her personality, but she was beginning to feel good about the way she looked, and she was beginning to believe that men did want her. Maybe men truly were attracted to her. The good thing about Rick is he really did make her believe better in herself as far as her sexuality. Veronica realized that she left a pair of earrings at Rick's the last time that she was there. She wanted them back, but she didn't want to text him, especially after this morning. She really was not in the mood to communicate with him at all. She was going to be taking a couple of personal days. She would have time to drive up to his house. She decided to wait until later in the afternoon to text him. She asked him if he had the earrings. He answered her fairly quickly and said he did. They made arrangements to meet at a bar close to his house, and he would give them to her. She wanted to look nice, but most of all, she knew she needed to stay strong. She was so disappointed about the text from this morning and the night prior. She was becoming more confident, but at the same time, she didn't understand her feelings, and she still was thinking that it was her that it was her that was at fault. She still felt good. She still felt not good enough when it came to men. They were to meet at the bar around 6. The bar they were meeting at was actually in a hotel just a few miles from Rick's house. She was there a little earlier. She had been texting a man that she met on her Orlando trip. He was a nice guy. When she arrived at the bar, she ordered a glass of wine and texting Robert, the man from Orlando. Robert had let her know that he was going to be in Denver for only a night. He was helping a friend with the move. He would be getting in on a Friday night, and he'd be leaving the next morning. Veronica thought that they should have dinner together and visit. She was also trying to find a man to take her mind off of Rick. What was that? Was that right? Robert, the man from Orlando, of course, still under the age of 40, was texting her more and more, kind of flirting, but not overly bad. They discussed work and other trivial matters. She really felt like she needed someone to take her mind off of Rick. She was trying to stay distracted until Rick showed up. She didn't want to think about it, and she wanted to stay strong and confident. Rick walked in about 5 minutes after 6. He came into the bar area, so Veronica stood up to greet him. He didn't even sit down. He asked how she was, but she could see in his eyes that he didn't want to talk. They left the bar area and walked toward the entrance of the hotel. He handed her the earrings and then said he would talk to her later, and that was it. Nothing more. She didn't expect it, but she also... It was an airplane. She didn't expect it, but she also couldn't kid herself. She wanted him to stay and talk to her. She decided to go back into the bar and have a bite to eat and a glass of wine. She needed to relax. She was having a glass of wine in the hotel bar. Just a sec. And a businesswoman sat a couple seats down. Then a man sat in between them. They started talking and having a nice conversation. A little serious, but mostly just shooting the breeze. They laughed, they talked serious. Veronica and the other lady were giving the man advice about his ex-wife. That night was good. She kept her mind off of Rick. She enjoyed talking with two complete strangers. She decided she would just get a room at the hotel. She was already on her third glass of wine, and why even take the chance to drive home? She had a couple days off work, so this worked out just fine. She told the man and lady at the bar that she was going to get her bag out of the car. She always had a bag with workout clothes and some toiletries. Veronica walked back in towards the elevator, and the man that was sitting with them was obviously waiting for her. She may have been pretty tipsy, but she was still coherent enough to know what was up. He purchased a beer from the hotel front desk and asked Veronica if maybe they could go take a dip in the hot tub. Veronica is thinking, here is my chance. Maybe she could finally get someone else, and since this gentleman was a little older, maybe he would have a little more finesse. She said, I don't have a swimsuit, but it sounds like fun. They went up to their rooms. Just so happened they were both on the third floor. He said he had an extra pair of shorts, and he would give her. He went to his room and brought them to her. She went to change, and then she put on the shorts. They were just falling off of her. She had a pair of capri workout pants that she decided to put on. They were extremely tight, and they were very hard to get on. She liked them because they held her in, but they were tight. She didn't even get his name. She probably did when they were at the bar, but she didn't remember. She wasn't hot for this guy by any means. They made it down to the jacuzzi, and the water was hot, and they got the jet started. Veronica was feeling pretty good, and the man was pretty tipsy too. They started making out in the hot tub, and he was all over her, kissing and massaging her feet. It was wonderful. He was not someone she would pick up for sex, but it was definitely going well. They both decided that it was time to go up to the room. Veronica had her key to her room and a towel, and then that was it. Well, of course, what she was wearing. The man took her to his room, and they both took off their clothes. Her nice tight workout pants were now wet and didn't come off very easily, but they did come off. There was some foreplay, but he seemed to be having trouble becoming hard. She tried working it with her hands, her mouth, her tongue, but no go. There was nothing happening. He laid her on her stomach and tried to work his magic with his tongue. But that was not really working for her either. He was really making an effort, but it was so hard for her to even think about being turned on when he could not get hard. After about 15 minutes of him trying to please her, she rolled over away from him. Tears started to roll. She felt like a loser. She couldn't even turn on an older man. After the rotten day with Rick being an ass, now she was in a position where she couldn't even have sex with this man. She felt like she was never going to have sex again. She felt desperate, but then something in her mind changed. She knew she could turn on a man. Rick didn't have a problem. The man that came in her house a couple months ago didn't have a problem. The tears then stopped, and she just had this evil devil grin. She wanted to laugh so hard, but she didn't want him to feel bad. She was facing away from him, and her smile was ear to ear, thinking, bullshit, this isn't me, this is his issue. She thought enough was enough and decided it was time to leave. The man asked if she would come back in the morning, and she shook her head and said, no, I have to get to the office early. And it's very late. She went to put on the workout pants, but she couldn't get them on. She was wondering what she was going to do. She had a towel with her, and because she had lost weight, she was able to fit the towel completely around her. She grabbed her room key and clothes and held the towel around her and walked out of the room. The man said, you are just so sexy, and she was almost running to her room. She entered her room, threw herself on the bed, and thought, who else could this happen to? It wasn't the fact that he could not get his groove on, but it was more the timing. Here she was, ready to get laid, took advantage of it, and look what happened. It made her laugh. Of course, this was not helping her get over Rick at all, but at least she could laugh about it. If it was 3 months ago, she would not have been able to laugh at all. She would have totally believed it was her. It was pretty unbelievable that she woke up feeling pretty well rested. Maybe part of it was because she was starting to believe in herself. She actually was starting to come to the realization that she was okay. She really was. This was one of the most profound moments of her new journey. Veronica ended up booking another night at the hotel and decided that she would drive to Estes Park for the day and then come back and stay at night. She had nothing to do at home, so why not? On her drive to Estes, she thought a lot about Rick. She really wanted to be mad at him for disappointing her. She knew that was not him at all. She had expectation that she did not share with him. He wasn't a mind reader. She knew that it was still him that helped her begin the healing process. The fact that he was attracted to her in the first place and that he made her, all in all, feel really good about herself. She knew that she needed to know that a man could be attracted to her and that she could feel safe in the bedroom. He helped her with that. When they had sex, she never felt like she was unattractive or not sexy. Thank God he was a good man in that respect. She still felt, here comes a plane. She still felt like she owed him. She really felt that she needed to tell him or show him. And she wasn't quite sure how. While she was disappointed in the fact that they didn't get together, She also was grateful for the lessons she was learning along the way. It seemed that lessons were not stopping. The trip to Estes was a really nice getaway. There was just shopping and restaurants. She did walk a trail for about a mile, not long. She spent most of the morning shopping. She bought a really nice casual dress. It was fitted and she tried it on and then felt really pretty. She bought some nylons and she had a nice pair of shoes that she was wearing yesterday at work. She put them on also. It was a little chilly to not have nylons or tights or something covering her legs. Plain. She then treated herself to a nice lunch. It was a late lunch. She headed back to Fort Collins around 4. It was a really nice day. On the way back, she really thought that maybe she took the text from Rick wrong. He was very to the point, and most people were not that direct with her, especially when it came to her shortcomings. But it really was out of character for him to say the things like that. So maybe she was being too sensitive. The question is, was she just giving him an excuse, or was she really feeling this way? I'm not done with chapter 23 yet, but that was something. I finally got my nerve up to have sex with somebody, and that happened. And I did. I really rolled over and felt, at first I felt it was like my fault. And then it did. It came back to me. It was funny as hell. I was laying there, and I just got this shit-eating grin, and I remember that grin. It was not my fault. That's not my fault. How can that be my fault? So, and it was funny because I couldn't get my pants on at all. They were wet and they were so tight and I couldn't get them on. So I had to run down the hotel hall with just a towel wrapped around me. But it was an eye-opener for me. And it was so good that I could laugh about it. That was the most important thing, was that I could laugh about it. Well, anyway, I will stop this one and we'll continue with the new video here in a minute. Thanks.